What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a new video. Today I'm answering the top questions you guys had heading into 2021, all sports cards related questions that maybe in 2020 there was some uncertainty regarding, and heading into 2021 we're not sure, maybe you have some questions about it. It's definitely an interesting time in the hobby. It's taking off, there's so much changing, it's changing every day, and hopefully the questions I answered today are helpful to you guys. All these questions I got by compiling your responses to the questions I asked in the most recent videos, and also some of you guys hit me up with. Compiled them together to get a little over 10 questions, and I think these are the most applicable to kind of what we're going through right now in the hobby. And hopefully these are helpful. So if you ever have any more questions, feel free to always ask, and I try my best to answer them. And big shout out to you guys for sending these in. So hope they help you out. If you haven't already, check the description in the pinned comment where I'll have timestamps for each question, and you can see question 1, question 5, question 10, maybe the ones that most apply to kind of what you were wondering. And this way you don't have to kind of search through the video to try to find each question that you had. So definitely check those out. And before we get started, if you haven't already, like, sub, turn on the notification bell. Also, feel free to comment, share if you're so inclined. We did pick the giveaway winner already. It's posted in the community tab as well as on my Instagram. And good luck to all you guys in future giveaways. We'll have tons of more, and congrats to the winners. But so let's get into these questions. Once again, I have a long list right here, so I'm just going to be kind of going down the list on each one and answering each one as we go. So starting with question number 1. Question 1 is, where can you buy boxes for the best price, and where can you buy new stuff for cards? So one thing that was tough to get this year was boxes of cards. It's really tough, and not only is it tough to find, it's expensive to find when you to buy when you find it. So my recommendations, and by all means, I'm not getting crazy steals on boxes. I'm buying for resale just like everyone else. Only a couple people in the hobby total would get stuff for SRP or lower. Those would be card shops and like the big breakers who buy tons of stuff, and they're the ones who are set up with panini and distributors to get stuff for SRP. And that's why I say the SRP for this product is $100 or $150. That's kind of what I'm referring to, and those boxes are made to be kind of packed or give content at that price. We buy it at resale because that's what they're charging us in the secondary market, but that is the way it is, and hopefully that changes. But the best place to buy them, I would say, is a few places. Number one, your local card shop, who some, not all of them will have direct, so don't be like, hey, you're buying it at a $90 and charging me $500. There's a lot of shops that don't have direct with Panini, and they're buying it resale almost the same as us, so they're not making a ton, not all of them. And but you can buy it from your card shop, and every card shop's going to differ. Some are going to be really cheap, some are going to be maybe really expensive, some are going to be kind of the middle. Depends on where they're getting it from, how much they're getting it for, how much they have. So keep that in mind. But your LCS or your local card shop will frequently be the best place to get them. Also, eBay, of course, look for sellers with high feedback, with 100% feedback or very, very close. Look for people you trust. You can buy on Instagram too. Sometimes sellers, avoiding eBay fees, will try to sell on Instagram or forums and stuff like that. Make sure you always pay with method with protection, goods and services, PayPal, unless you really know the person or know them to be trustworthy. But yeah, that's where I would say is the best place to get new stuff like that. And other than those three, some other options, maybe if you want to buy on online retailers, but those historically used to be really great priced, but more recently are not great priced. But there's Blowout, Dave and Adams, and Seal City. Other than that, that's kind of the main options. Also, obviously, group breaks you can buy into. There's tons of breakers out there. And that's I'd probably say that's where the best place you can get them for. They're not going to be cheap. When people ask, where can I buy cheap packs? There is no cheap packs right now. There's expensive packs, and there's slightly less expensive packs. So that's kind of what we're looking at now, and those are the best places to buy them. So number 2 would be, what will hold value? Boxes, 1920 stuff, singles, all that kind of things, like maybe cards you bought, maybe players you bought into, all sorts of stuff like that. And what will hold value just depends on how things pan out. Say you hold a box of 1920 and all the top rookies fall off, well, then the box will go down. But as long as there's one guy that's good, usually you'll see some increase, especially as people open the boxes and there's less available on the market. Boxes are usually pretty safe. And also with singles, obviously it just depends on the player does. So let's say you bought into Zion and he does amazing, wins MVP, his price will go up, obviously. Say you buy into Ja and he does bad, then his price will go down. Now, obviously, I don't believe that'll happen because I love Ja and I'm biased. But singles you buy will always depend on how the player does. Boxes, as long as there's someone doing well, the price will go up. The prices won't go down for boxes as long as one guy does well. And even then, I mean, look at some classes of, just okay classes. They still go up because people want to rip something, people want to find product, buy product, hold it. and it'll still go up because sometimes you buy up tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. All right, I'll settle with 4, But that's kind of what will hold value. Usually anything that has upside holds value. Good players, chance at good players, i.e. boxes, will always go up. And then if there's no good players or the player does poorly, then it goes down. So question 3 is, how long do redemptions take? And that's actually an amazing question and one that I really can't answer too well. But one thing I can say is redemption will usually take at least maybe a couple months. I've gotten the fastest I've ever gotten one, maybe a month or so. And that's because I actually reached out and got a response. It can be anywhere from that month all the way down to, I know people who've been waiting for 4 or 5 years, so indefinite, and they still haven't heard anything back. Reaching out to them is very tough because I think they're understaffed, especially as opposed to taking consideration the demand. So there's maybe triple the collectors and still the same team. I think, at least what I believe. I think they should maybe, I guess, hire hopefully some more people to help out with that, because I know that they're absolutely swamped, and with the pandemic not being able to work, they got even more backlog. So do be patient with them, of course. And redemptions depend on the athlete. So if Giannis isn't signing his cards, they can't give us a Giannis redemption because Giannis hasn't signed it. So it comes down to the player, to Panini, once they get the cards, and to be speedy in sending those back out. But they can take, once again, anywhere from a month or two to indefinite. I saw Khalil Mack's rookie autos come in like 2 years ago. He was a rookie in 2014, so 4 years. And I know a lot of people who are just waiting on them, so they can take super long. The best thing I'd recommend to do if you have a redemption waiting that you already have in the system is, if you want to keep it, put it in the system onto their site. However, every now and then, shoot them an email. It's going to be tough to get a response, but if you send them an email every now and then, eventually you might get one. And sometimes that card is in their warehouse, but they just haven't sent them out because, once again, they are very overwhelmed, it seems like, and there's just tons of stuff they need to get done, and they're a little bit backlogged. So definitely reach out if you're lucky, you can get a response from them. They have their emails on the kind of, it's like a blog post, and there's a bunch of bubble mailers. You'll see them on their Twitter and their blog itself. They'll have the customer service emails there, so you can kind of go there, find their email, say it's redemption, say it's damage or quality assurance, choose the right email, reach out to them, and hopefully you'll get a response from them. But it can take anywhere from a month or two to indefinite, unfortunately. Question number 4 is, how will the market pan out? So that's as unpredictable as ever. If I knew the answer to that question, I'd be a very rich man. I don't know how the market will pan out. The way I would see things maybe going, I guess my prediction would be, with a weaker class, unless someone breaks out, you'll see 1920 stuff and 18, 19, 17, 18 ones with stars in them kind of continue to rise, and the 1920 stuff will kind of stay level. And then if still no one pans out, I'd say, and maybe say they show promise, that would include panning out in the short term. But if there's really no upside, it might go down a little bit, unfortunately. And I hope that's not the case, because I love collecting all these rookies and all the rookie classes. And of course, it'll be the current rookie class, so all the products I'm buying are looking for them. But if absolutely nothing happens, there's no hope, there's no light we see at the end of the tunnel, then it might take a little dip. But as long as there's anything, it'll stay hot. I would anticipate some sort of a kind of drop as opposed to what we saw last year, because last year was an absolute boom and kind of a super peak. Could go up more, I don't know. But the way I would predict it, if I had to, would say that it will 19, 20, and previous, all the hot classes will continue to stay hot. The good players, as long as they play well, will continue to push the market. And as far as the actual current class and their stuff, everything revolves around them, their cards, their products. It all depends on how they do. Right now, there's a little bit of hope. How I was saying that if you see like a little bit of light, a little bit of something, then it's warrants hype and hope in the short term. But if there's not much of that, like if we keep seeing what we have now, where there's kind of just like a little bit of interest and no one really knows what's going on, no one's really making a big splash, then it could go down a little bit as time goes on. That's kind of the way I see it. But cards, I believe, at least for the next year or so, will stay relatively hot, especially considering football and basketball. There's some big players coming out. We see Trevor Lawrence from football. We see maybe a Cade Cunningham, something like that. Some other top guys, a nice class coming for basketball, and past that, another big class. So I think the market stays relatively hot. I don't know if it'll be maybe like a couple months ago, a few months ago, peak insane. Every day it jumps up even more, but it should stay relatively hot in my opinion. So question 5 is grading cards, and this is kind of definitely a loaded question here, but is it worth it to grade? And a lot of people are asking a lot of questions about grading, but is it worth it to grade cards? Answer is yes. Cards that you can see big rises in, absolutely. Top rookie cards, rare, super short prints, parallels, stuff like that. Anything that could have some sort of value to someone, you definitely want to grade. Any significant cards, ones that have just some special quality to them, you grade them. If they're in good condition, why it's so important to protect cards, you always want to sleeve them up, top load them instantly, cut the sleeve. I always say that, but not everyone agrees with that. If you're going to mag them, I always say put a sleeve on top of the card and between the case, the cover of the case, so the surface doesn't scratch. But is it worth it to grade? Absolutely, especially if it's a card that's in good condition and it's a card that will be coveted by at least someone. And then the question comes to PSA, BGS, other companies. PSA right now is the cream of the crop in terms of the value you're going to get. I personally don't like PSA because the cases are flimsy and feel cheap to me. I also don't like the no sleeve they put in sometimes, and I also don't like the no subgrades. I like the transparency of having them in BGS, even though sometimes it means a whole lot of nothing. But BGS I like more than PSA, but PSA is worth more than BGS. The way the rankings work to me is black label BGS, BGS 10, PSA 10, BGS 9.5, PSA 9, BGS 9, and so forth, going down that list. And then you might be saying, well, what about SGC, GMA, BCCG, which I believe is also part of Beckett. But those, in my honest opinion, I wouldn't mess with them really. If you're gonna choose one of them, I guess choose SGC, but that's not exactly high praise, to be honest, because I've seen the difference between SGC, BGS, PSA sales. I've seen also how much they're coveted, and also in my opinion, mostly on the quality of the case themselves. I just don't think it's worth it. You're gonna have to wait much longer for PSA and BGS, but it's just still, I would go with those ones because you're gonna maximize your value, and I'm assuming that most of us want to maximize our value. But if you want to start grading your cards, there's some options you have. Number one is send it yourself. So you can go to their website, fill out the form, read up on it. That's actually what I did. I have sent 2 subs before myself, 1 BGS, 1 PSA, because I wanted to learn more about it, because a lot of you guys were asking me about it and I didn't know. So I definitely wanted to do it myself. I sent some subs out, and what I did was I went on their site and I looked it up. Actually, that was for PSA. BGS, I looked it up and then decided at the last second, value wise, it wasn't it was more worth it to send a group sub. So while I did learn how to do it, I didn't send the BGS one myself. That takes me to the next part, which is group subs. So one person who maybe, I guess, could live near there or is willing to do all the work, he will set up a system, charge a certain amount per card, and send it with bulk pricing. So that means 50 plus cards. I don't know, something like that. Everyone sends in their cards. Of course, make sure it's someone you trust and has reps, can vouch. You can vouch for, or they can vouch. Someone can vouch for them. They'll take all the cards in from everyone. Say John, Bob, and Matt all send in their cards to Ryan, myself, and then I send them off to PSA or BGS. The grades come in. Once they come in, and they ship the cards back to me, then, or I drop them off when I'm close. Then I take all the cards and I send them back out to you guys. And that's how the group sub works. We're getting the benefit of the discount from bulk, and then they're getting a little margin for themselves for doing the work, of course. But yeah, the way I saw it was, if I was sending just a few cards for PSA and BGS, I kind of just wanted to do group sub, save me the time, the work. I don't love grading cards because I just like to collect them and keep them in my collection. So I don't have many graded cards, as you guys know. Most of my graded cards I bought. But yeah, if you want to kind of look into them, I would say group subs. Your card shops might have them too. If it's an owner you trust, you can sometimes send it through them. They might have subs too. And then in addition to that, you can send it yourself. So send it yourself if you want to learn more, if you just don't maybe trust sending it into a group sub, various reasons. But definitely check out the site regardless. I think it's good to read up and learn about how you can do it. And there's a lot to learn by looking into it. So question 6, retail. Is retail going to be obtainable? And my answer to that is, at least for the next few months, no. Because people are still riding out the hype. They want to, if they can even make a little bit, the flippers, anyone, they want to do that and say, even if you're not a flipper, say you just want to rip the box for yourself, you're going to want to get it finally. The whole no retail in 1920 is going to lead to a lot of people, I feel, trying to get 2021. And maybe some people want to buy it to hold, maybe not flip necessarily now. And I still don't think it'll be very obtainable. If this class is absolutely god-awful and no one shows any interest or shows any potential, then maybe you'll walk into Target, Walmart, something like that, and you'll find a couple boxes there. But retail will probably from now on, at least for the foreseeable future, be pretty scarce and tough to get. But by all means, if you can get it, absolutely try to get it. It's still going to be nice at a bargain to get something for $20 because, you look at the pre-sales for hoops and other products. It's going to be expensive. They're still going to try to maximize and squeeze all the juice out of us that they can in terms of prices. So I might have to wait a bit. And if you can find retail, absolutely more power to you. I would definitely recommend getting it. But retail for the foreseeable future, I believe will still be scarce and tough to get. But the bright side is, with less value in the class, buying resale may be much cheaper, as opposed to maybe it was, $200 for a Prism Blaster, maybe at resale, and $20 at retail. 2021 might be 28 retail still, and then it's maybe, I don't know, $70. Not that that's cheap, but much less compared to 2021 at resale. Question 7 would go into the different formats. We're talking about hobby versus retail, right? The prices vary so much. Which one is worth for me to buy? Do I want to spend a lot more for one hobby box, or do I want to maybe get several blaster or retail formats? And maybe there's other formats, Fast Break, there's Choice, Tmall, 100 different formats, first off the line. So there's so many different formats, and you might be saying, how did they compare? Which one is better? And also another question coming up will be comparing those different formats. But I would say that it's kind of tough. It's up to you. Hobby will always have better contents, but sometimes hobby spikes up so much in price that it's almost unobtainable. It's kind of up to your preference. I would definitely kind of weigh it yourself. Look at the checklists, which are always online. You can see which cards are in the retail format. Sometimes if a retail product is loaded with different parallels, different exclusives, then it could be worth it. So I don't know, maybe maybe like an absolute basketball, you're very limited because there's maybe those yellow parallels, but there's not much else. And then say maybe a Prism basketball, silvers, you can get the green pulsars, you can get the purple, the pink pulsars, you can get red, pink ices. So a lot of stuff to find in there. So you definitely want to look into each product by product, say, hey, what can I find in retail? What can I find in hobby? What can I find in choice? What can I find in Fast Break? Then weigh what's in your price range. My personal opinion in terms of tiers, obviously I can't kind of give you a concrete ranking because each product's going to differ, but hobby and first off the line are always going to be up here. Choice is right under there. Fast Break is under there too. Then there's going to be the retail / Tmall. Tmall is kind of just like retail. Tmall might be just a little better, but depends once again on price. And then there's other formats I'm sure that I'm missing, but yeah, those are kind of my ranking there. And then kind of just work through your price yourself and say, hey, I'm willing to spend this much. Do I want to risk it for this one, or do I want to buy several of these? But that's kind of the ranking of how I see them. And that kind of brings me into the next question, which is dealing with the actual formats themselves. So here for question 8, we're going to go into each format. So hobby is kind of the base format. That's the best one in my opinion, and you're going to find all the contents that you can find, all the best stuff. You usually get much better contents than all the other ones, and you're going to find the price is going to be more, of course. Now, first off the line will usually be similar, but it'll have its own exclusive parallel. So say hobby has red, blue, green, yellow. First off the line hobby, or first off the line, whatever you want to call it, will probably have all those parallels, but they'll guarantee an exclusive purple, starburst parallel, something like that, something a little bonus, and it'll also come early. So first off the line is sometimes better, it's sometimes not. If you look at a contenders, maybe contenders 2018 first off the line versus a contenders hobby, I always liked hobby better because that first off the line exclusive was a red zone, red ticket on card parallel, and it didn't look good. It was short printed, but it wasn't the coveted cracked dice that we're looking for, and it took away our chance at the RPS cracked dice, which is one of the main 40 rookies, which is why I didn't like that one more. Look at a Prism basketball first off the line versus 2018-19 I'm referring to, and the regular hobby first off the line versus hobby. Same thing, same exact product. This one guarantees a shimmer parallel number to 7, so clearly this one's better, and it varies per. So you have to look at each one, but those two are kind of the top two. Choice will have just a few cards they guarantee as all the hits only. You'll have silvers, probably you'll have some exclusive, tiger print, something like tiger stripe parallels, some red choice. They're always going to have that 8 theme, kind of the lucky. It's Asian market exclusive, so it always makes its way here. But it's kind of like, the 8 is the lucky number there. And it is a good format. It'll give you autographs, and it'll give you parallels. And it's a solid product. It's not going to be as heavy as, maybe a hobby or first off the line, because you're probably not getting the base, which is sometimes a big boost. Say I ripped a box of not first off the line choice Prism versus hobby Prism. First off the line Prism will only not first off the line choice may have 8 cards, no base rookies, because all the hits once again, or sometimes they add them, sometimes they don't. And then this one here, the hobby may have 40 base rookies. So clearly that's a lot of value added. But that's under there. Fast Break's right under there. Its own parallels. It'll have the disco parallels. It'll have its own autograph sets, sometimes variations, and I believe that's usually it. But it's kind of like a little, not in a bad way, like a dumbed down version of a hobby. You just get like almost the same thing with its own little disco parallels and its own sets, and it's still nice stuff to find. The variation's always a plus when you can find them in there. And then that brings us to kind of the retail and the T-malls. T-malls will have their own exclusive red wave and gold wave parallels usually, or other parallels if they list it, and you can see on the box as well as the listings for these products. These are sold exclusively on the Tmall platform in Asia, hence the name Tmall. And they always make their way here once again. They remind me of a retail product, usually a couple autographs per whole case. And usually those are 20 box cases, so or 12, depending on which product. But not very autograph heavy. Same thing with retail, not autograph heavy. You might get mem cards. These include the multi-pack cellos, blasters, hangers, mega boxes, gravity feeds. Cheap, definitely cheapest option. Find them at Target, Walmart. However, the contents will be much less. So you have high production, maybe you can find like a green pulsar parallel like in Prism, but they're gonna be rare to find and it's hard to hit, but it's much cheaper. So say you buy 10 of these blasters for $200 versus a hobby box for $200. Maybe you'll have the same odds of hitting something nice. So that being said, that's the way I rank per box, and that's kind of just explaining each format and the difference in each one. Next question, we're talking about the product release dates, which is something that a lot of people may not know. Sometimes I'm ripping Select and, I don't know, maybe Chronicles or Contenders, and people are asking, this just dropped on Panini's site, and how can I, how you already have them, how can I get them on the same day? Well, Panini's site will drop them, for just a tiny bit under resale, not SRP. That's actually something I wish I said earlier, but that is what they do, unfortunately. And sometimes it's a Dutch auction. But that day that they drop them, if it's not first off the line, is the day it released, which means that all the local card shops, all the a lot of the online sites have sent them out to pack out to customers on these days. So say it releases on Wednesday the 12th. That is the day where I can go into my shop and I can say, hey, to my card shop owner, do you have this product? He'll say yes usually, or if it's a day late, maybe the next day, but usually it'll be around that day, and I can go buy the box then. Panini, of course, when they sell on their site, will have it for a little bit under resale, then they'll ship it out to you, and you'll get it maybe a few days later, but that is the day it releases. One thing I want to say is the release calendars are available online, and one thing I actually want to do in our Discord, so if you haven't joined our Discord, definitely check it out down below. Awesome sports card community there, our collectors club, and I will have a channel hopefully for product releases. You can't miss it. It's on the left hand side when you look at all the channels, and we'll hopefully put those release dates that you can expect. But yeah, there are calendars online, and I think the first one's hoops. Next one will probably be like certified, something like that, Donruss, stuff like that coming down the line, and usually it's every Wednesday or Friday that it comes out. So that's when you can expect the new products, and that's when you can go into your shop and say, do you have this? Hopefully it's yes. So next question is base cards. What do we do with base cards? And that's an interesting one because everyone has their own kind of thing they do with them. Now, here's how I personally feel about base cards. Obviously, they don't really have any value. No one really wants base cards. And personally, for example, like in my group breaks, I don't ship base cards. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times I don't. It depends per break. It's usually like a split. But I personally, when I join breaks, I don't want the base cards at all. Now, when I rip boxes, I take all my base cards, I put them in a little box, and they just sit there and collect dust because they don't have any value. Now, I used to try to sell them in bulk, but the problem is no one wants them. So I would sell them in bulk with maybe tiny little charge on top. So say it costs like $20 to ship in a USPS flat rate box, which I'd put them all in. Maybe just a little bit on top just to account for the time, and then I'd ship off the base. But it's come to the point where it's not almost worth the time. But I, for example, went into my card shop and I had the same question, and I said, what do you do with base cards? Because I don't know what to do. I can't sell them. No one wants them. They don't have any value. No one really collects the sets anymore. And he said, see that dumpster outside? And I was like, yeah. Like, they're in there. And I was like, wow. So I don't have the heart to do that. I had too much of love for cards to throw them out, but I know a lot of people do. And I think I brought that up once, and people said I too just toss them because they take up a lot of space, and what are you going to do with them? No one wants them, unfortunately. But that is kind of how I deal with them. So if you want to get rid of base cards, I would say try to sell in bulk. If you can put the set together, try to put the set together and sell the set on eBay or something like that, or Instagram or Discord, something like that. But it's tough to move. And then worst case scenario, if you can do it, just you can toss them out always. But yeah, unfortunately, base cards don't really have much value. That's the way I see it. I'm sure someone may say you can donate the base cards. I know that in my area, they didn't even want the base cards because the card shop owner, I said, hey, can't you donate them? He said he tried to donate them, and they said, we just don't want them. They're just piles and boxes, mountains of just these cards that they just didn't want. So he ended up tossing them. Of course, I did follow up to ask him that, and that's what he said. But that is just the way it is. Unfortunately, base cards really don't have much value. So up to you. And if they're really, taking up that much space, as some people have told me, then, worst case, yes, you can, I guess, toss them. But I would try to sell them if you can in, full sets or in bulk, and see if you can move them first. All right, so second to last question here. What should you buy? So people say, I'll have money. I finally want to buy something. What should I buy? Well, you can buy whatever you want. You can buy boxes. You can buy singles. You can buy into group breaks. It all depends on what you want. I see hobby boxes as the most risk, but the most fun, and that includes retail, other formats, group breaks. Most risk, most fun. Buying singles, I go on eBay and I spend the same amount of money. I can get a nice card. Most value, but least fun. It just comes in the mail and boom, you have the card. And then in the middle ground, there's other stuff, like maybe you want to buy like a repack or something like that. But that's the way I see it. I always say buy what you like. It's your collection. It's, your journey in the hobby. It's whatever you want. A lot of people try to push their own agendas, push their own information on people. And I would just say, buy what you like the most. You can't go wrong. Say you lose value on something and it goes down. Worst case scenario, hey, I got what I like. This is a player I collect. This was a team I like. I'm happy to still have this card. And it's it doesn't hurt when you love these teams and players. But you're asking what should you buy? Always buy what you like. Always look for the best deals, of course. But go with your gut. Buy what you like, and just enjoy the hobby. The final question here: card values. How do you see values of cards? People always ask. I don't know what this is worth. How do I figure it out? I always say go on eBay. You can use Card Snoop, 130 Point, a lot of tools to kind of see the values, and it's pretty simple. You can just look them up. You can type in the card name, and you can find the sold auctions. I use sold one. Listed auctions don't mean anything really to me, but you can use the sold one to find them out. If the product is new, you might not find a lot of comps or comparisons. If there are kind of iffy comps, you can kind of take like an average, all based on how you see it. One thing I do if I don't see comps for a certain card, say I pull Zion to 25 from Hoops and there's no Hoops to 25 Zions. I go to a similar product, maybe I find Donruss Zion to 25, all placed around that value. So looking for comparisons in terms of other products, similar numbered cards, stuff like that. That's the way I see it. And I always use eBay to do it. People do recommend you can use the Beckett thing, but I don't know anyone who does that. I don't do it myself. Can do it, but I always use eBay. Most accurate for me, in my opinion. And that is how I check up the values of cards. All right, guys, so that does it for all these questions. I think I answered a little over 10 here. I'm sure there's other questions you have that I missed, so if you have any more, you can always feel free to ask, and I'll try to get to some of those too. But I feel like I've covered a nice wide range of topics. Hopefully it helps you guys out a lot. 2021 is hopefully going to be an awesome year for collecting. 2020 was a crazy year, and we'll see how things change, and hopefully it's for the best. Of course, once again, if you have any questions, you can always try to ask, or you can also try to look these up online. I personally, when I first started collecting, looked up all these questions and found the answers just online, because there wasn't really anyone to ask. I was just finding out myself, and the answers are out there. Sometimes they're kind of tougher to find, but once again, all the timestamps are down below for these questions, and hope you enjoy this video. Stay tuned for tons of more content. I'll have lots of stuff coming, more end of year kind of recap videos, as well as some big breaks coming up. So stay tuned for all that. And once again, I want to thank you guys for an awesome 2020. Hope your 2021 is the best it can be. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.